finally ready. Sorry about the delay. Speed bump, we don't have enough people for the race, so I'm always looking for more people to join in. We're going to try and organize that a little better in the future, but instead of that, we're going to watch the world record. Moonberry2 is here with us. How you doing?
Hello.
You beat the 30 minutes.
Yeah, I did. Lots of grinding.
Yeah, I bet.
I'm looking for a sub 29 before the end. Got some new computer parts coming in sometime next week after I get my new rig going. I'm probably going to grind out sub 29.
Nice. Well, I'm going to start this up. So here we go. Already began. I'm going to get some audio from it too. I forgot I had a widescreen.
Yeah, the run got pretty short, right? We're at 29:11 now.
Yes.
That's a huge jump from last time we saw. That's more than a minute, I think, since the last time we saw.
Okay. I need to change feeds. That's what I need to do. It's a weird one. Doesn't want to let me interact with it. They changed OBS. The monsters. They have two villains. There it is. Okay. Here's our feed. Let's start. I'll clean that up while we keep moving here. So where's the new stuff that's... I mean, that world record I have on screen is wrong. So it's 29:11, is that what I read?
Yeah.
Let me change that too. So
I don't think I know of a better time than that, right? The leaderboard probably hasn't been updated yet with the 29:11.
Has it been updated? I mean...
Yeah, it has been.
Okay.
The guy who runs the forum is pretty good on keeping all of them up to date.
Nice.
Oh, great.
So here's the new
Yeah,
world
it
record.
seems he dropped into my stream a while back. It seems that he actually does all of the Asterix board.
Oh, nice.
Does he play the other ones? Or does he just run them?
I don't know if he plays them. He says he's a huge fan. Okay, so this level right here, the underwater level, is the biggest slog to go through.
Yeah, looks like it.
And
Is there
couple
really any new
tight-
tech?
None of the earlier levels. Right here, you can squeeze in a hit and jump and not take a hit there, but it's a really tight window.
Oh, this is the world record video, folks. This is it. This is the one that's 29:11. And, so where did you save whole minutes of time? Where does that happen? Mostly. I mean, we watched one last week that was really tight, and it was 30:27, I think.
I want to say I just got a couple of the really hard tricks first try.
So I know that one of the things that's been going on in the speed bump room has been a lot of work on a task.
Yeah,
you know, we both watched it. Is there a lot of things in there that just aren't practical for a human to do for it to end up being a task that's about 5 minutes faster than the current RTA record, or is it just like that level of optimization?
There's a couple tricks that I couldn't pull off that was in the task, but most of the stuff is just very optimized, very, very tight jumps and corners, and not having to wait an extra second here and there for getting hits.
Yeah, I was seeing a lot of times in the task they would very exactly have 1 HP and they'd sneak around some enemies. It would look pretty dangerous is what it looked like, but I mean it was saving time over a period of time. And I also was explaining to someone who didn't know what a task was why anytime a menu shows up, the task is almost always going to gain a little bit of time, because humans have to be a little bit careful about not pressing the wrong button, and they can't instantly do it either on the very frame that character select shows up. How many times? Like, there's so many levels, so I figure that adds like 4 seconds right there.
There is a trick to the character select. If say on an Obelix level, if you hold right and you kind of mash start, you can mash through the between level part pretty quick and still get your characters.
Oh, nice. So it's really only when you gotta pick the other guy that it's complicated. That's not too much time lost then, because he's hardly ever chosen, right? Is Obelix showing up a lot anymore?
I think he has 2 levels. He has the Whirlpool level, and he has the Flower level later.
He's easier to do a safe... It looked like he was safer, but not faster on some of these levels for just his hitbox. and then the boss fight.
Oh yeah, the boss fight's another one that he's used on. I do take a death there. You notice I avoided the meat in the last level. It's a lot easier to start this level with full health because you have the potential to take a lot of damage, missing jumps, or just being a pixel off and taking a hit from something.
Yeah.
So we were speculating because we didn't really fully understand it when we were talking about the run last week, if I'm not mistaken. But can you explain a little bit about how this trick works with the projectiles? Because you throw a bomb and you end up getting a cloud instead, and that's really useful for some of the tricks that you do.
Yeah. So whenever you pick up an item, it adds a little number to the inventory, and it flips over to it. So see how he has cloud selected. Say if I was to pick up a bomb, it would switch to bomb. So for some reason, the game doesn't register what the projectile is until it hits, and then when it looks at what is selected. So if you were to throw a projectile and you change to something else before the first one lands, the one that lands is what the projectile, what it turns into is what is selected. Now, the game tries to stop you from doing that by locking you out from changing when you throw a projectile. But if you throw a second projectile, it unlocks it when the first one hits, so you can change to a cloud after the first one hit. And you see it
So
right
that's
here
why
at the
you
start
have
of
to
the
do two
lava
of
level.
them.
That makes a lot of sense.
Yeah.
So it's just reading once it lands what option is selected. It's not actually choosing the weapon until that. That makes a lot of sense. This looked
Yes.
really annoying, that one with the lava right there.
Yeah, it's a very, very, very tight timing on it. You gotta be very specific. If you're too far forward, it'll be too high and you can't jump on it. If it's too far back, you can jump on it, but you can't go up through the ceiling.
I think a lot of the time between you and the task that I imagine is they didn't get hit there. They instantly did it. So that's going to add up because you never get the damn heal in this game. So eventually they're going to get to a point where they have more health than you and they don't need to do things that you had to do.
Yeah, that's one thing that was really good in the task was the routing for the health is really good. And I tried to copy a little bit of the task's health route, but it's just so easy to barely miss a jump and hit your foot on the head of one of the Centurions, and then you're down a hit point.
Yeah, it seemed like there was a lot of this. I wanted to see, did you make this invulnerable and get all the way too? Because I did notice that the task did make it. It looked really tight. These two spikes here. Yeah, you had to wait. It is possible.
Yeah, the farthest I ever usually get with it is sometimes if I can do it just right, I can make it past the first spikes, but I haven't made it all the way through yet.
It looked really tight, but I saw them do that. That was one of the things I wanted to see because it just felt really obnoxious that you couldn't get the whole way with that invuln time. It seemed so good.
Now I have this fire level routed out so that I would end up with one hit point at the end, so I could take a quick death the next stage, but there's a lot of very tight jumps in here, and one of the bombs feels almost as if it's RNG, whether or not you get hit by it. So sometimes I end up with an extra hit point at the end.
Well, it's better than it going the other direction where it's routed so tightly that you're either dying or you're surviving.
When I was saying,
Yeah, I believe in...
Oh, sorry. Go ahead.
Go ahead.
When I was saying that the task looked like it was wildly going around damage and dodging it in a way that would be scary as heck, this is the level I had in mind. They do some weird stuff where they go under and over some shots at the end with this goofy flying mechanic. Just like 5 projectiles coming up.
Yeah. It's this first one is the only one that ever comes up high enough to hit you. Sometimes it does, and sometimes it doesn't.
If it doesn't, is there any way for you to adjust so that you can get hit by a different one instead?
In my later runs, I've been trying to drop down a little bit to get hit by it, but I haven't managed to do it yet.
Okay.
I tend to think about it a little bit late.
You're dodging some, you're playing this careful, right? It looked like you were a little bit trying not to get hit anyway. I mean, not tanking the shots for pure speed.
I actually like to take a death here to try to have more health for the next, going into the next level. So I try to only take about 2 hits of damage here.
Yeah, that makes sense. That's obviously another place. I mean, the task can the task reload and randomize the boss? Is that how that works? How do they do that on something that's RNG? Do they have to go with whatever the game gives them, or can they program something else in?
I believe the task is pretty good at like managing what makes the RNG happen, or they can read it ahead and then they can stay back and move a little bit left and right to avoid the hits.
Yeah, that boss is completely random, right? He's just throwing notes all over the place, is what it looks like.
Yeah, you can only hit that boss from the ground if you buffer a throw with obelisk after jumping. For some reason, you can hit him from the ground without using the shield.
Yeah, that was the big obelisk cell. I was wondering if his attacks are, because I imagine they are random because you're not sure if you're gonna take damage or not. There, it sounds like.
Yeah.
That's scary stuff. It's designing around a game that doesn't heal you at the level. That's the worst. With anything that's random like that. Is there any other boss that competes with that one?
No, I believe all of them are pretty straightforward if you get your setup correct.
Did I hear correctly? You said that the boss, that it's just the trebuchet that you're punching the rocks back at it. Is that a fixed pattern or is it random?
It's fixed.
Okay.
You can memorize it.
Okay. So that's really helpful for the speedrun.
Yeah, and it isn't that hard of a pattern to learn.
This game needs more of those cups.
Oh, it does. I don't believe in the later levels have any of the cups.
Yeah, that happens a lot. Anytime a mascot platformer is going on, they give you some stuff at the beginning and they kind of forget about it even being a thing. I'm thinking about Bubsy in the shadow shirt and how it just doesn't appear at all, and they really want you to know about it and then it's gone. I saw the task did something way different with this, just completely different. I didn't understand even what I was looking at, but they got up here instantly.
Yeah, I believe he threw a cloud potion from the wall and jumped up onto it, but I couldn't get it to work.
Yeah, they didn't do that hard jump, and I noticed that was a big one because when you were racing last week, or it was the world record we were watching last week. When I was watching that was where you lost a lot of time in that run, and they didn't do that at all. They didn't even mess around.
Now, this is a potential time save here. I actually missed this clip, and I had to take a death and reset the stage. So this is a good maybe 20 seconds that can be saved in the future run.
So you're looking at sub 29 as a possible goal here. Not just a sub 30, which is crushed. It's not even close to that anymore.
Yeah, there's a similar route in this level that takes the top with the potion, but I found it was faster just to kind of put to the ground here.
I just love that Mega Bomb power-up. Just watching you speed crouch through the level is really satisfying.
I love the noise it makes.
Yeah.
And how I want to mute my headphones when it's happening.
It's a pretty good feeling just running through anime.
Time for bubbles. I noticed that the task on this was it seems like you need the very, very slightest of boosts off these bubbles to get the jump. It seemed like that was what was happening on the laundry.
Yeah, I tried to find a faster route through this level, but it just seems like just waiting a couple seconds for the bubble to come was the fastest way because of how many times you have to take the bubbles up.
It's a very, like, the task was giving me exactly how you have to make this jump if you want to get it as fast as possible, and it seemed like the very instant that bubble appeared, they were high enough to do it. Like, it's really a very, very small little jump that they're stopping you from making. But it didn't seem like there was a way around it.
Yeah, you said before that you thought that the first world did this game a huge disservice, just because the rest of the levels are so much more enjoyable than World 1, and I can really see that.
I definitely feel that way. This game's first world, I feel like if that world didn't exist, people wouldn't... When we said what game we were playing, a lot of people groaned, and I think it's because they played that world.
Yeah, I think it's because there's not really much chance to really do much speed tech on the other levels. It's mostly just teaching you how some of the different things work, like the crab levels, teaching you how to throw the bombs and use clouds to go up. But there's not really much room to really improve. You just kind of got to follow what they want you to do there, which isn't fun in speedruns.
Yeah. What's going on with the background in this? I know that's a stupid question to ask. But, is that correct? What's going on?
Yeah, I imagine that's right. It looks a little messed up, though.
There's a grail up there.
Yeah. I try to come into this level with 2 extra bars of health, so 3 altogether, and just damage boost up the spikes. It's very dangerous because there's a couple tight jumps where if you just jump too early, you hit by an arrow. If you jump too late, you hit the ceiling spikes and die. But it's really good just kind of getting your health built up, especially going into the boss, and then to the start of the next level, you gotta take some more damage hits.
There's the relaxation boss.
I assume once you get the pattern memorized, this is not particularly stressful in any way. Like, the timing, it probably isn't super tight.
Yeah, it's pretty straightforward. Sometimes you might hit a little bit too early or too late, or just be slightly off center and miss. But beyond that, it's just a really, really straightforward fight. Stand into the rocks and use the attack and do it. Now, the attack in this game is very, very short distance, but it actually does have a bit of a lingering hitbox. So if you use it a little bit before you walk into an enemy, you can use it to kind of buffer your hits, which is nice.
This game has auto punch, right?
Yes, it does. If you hold down the punch, you do this continuous punch. And I do believe there's a small gap somewhere in it that the enemies can walk through. Because I have been walking into enemies that should take 1 hit and get immediately knocked out with the auto punch, and he just slips through and just gets an extra hit out of you.
I was worried about that. But when I saw that there was an auto punch, I didn't feel like it would be able to sneak in, but I didn't give it a whole lot of testing. It seemed like it was workable. Ugh, speaking of backgrounds. At least it looks like the things it looks like.
Now here's one of the obelisk levels.
What's he for here? The ending grab?
Yeah, at the end of this level, there's a part on the wall that you can use with 2 clouds to climb up to the top. Obelisk is used because you only need 2. If you use Asterix, you need 3 to reach the end level item. But Obelisk, if you position it just right, you can just squeeze right on up there.
What a good ending animation for him, too. What's your favorite world?
It's a tough one. I want to say those spiders. I don't really like spiders, but that level when it works, you just kind of hold right, and it just feels so smooth. I believe that's the level after this one. So 2 levels till then, 3-5.
It's honestly a real shame that health is at such a premium in this game, because the really great you get that really fantastic knockback when you take damage, and it bounces you so high that it feels like it would be really useful more often.
Well, the enemies don't have any knockback to them. It's only like specific things like spike,
Right.
and lava. I think there's like one other thing, like the water in the level 2 does it as well.
Wow. I'm looking at the backgrounds too much, and I'm seeing how crappy those trees are for this game. This is so bad compared to everything else I've seen. They look like I drew them.
Yeah, but they look great until you started looking at them closely. Maybe the mistake was looking at them closely.
Yeah, it's on me. I shouldn't have looked at the art.
So that little clip into the ground, is that a pretty consistent setup, or?
Well, you actually don't always get it. It's possible to just jump clean up to the top. So sometimes you end up to the top, sometimes you end up with the clip. I actually thought the clip was the only way to get up there for the longest time until I accidentally made it just right and made it up to the top.
This one right
So
here
is it
looks
easier to get the clip than to do it correctly?
Yes, because if you do it correctly, you have to walk back and grab a potion, a second cloud potion. But otherwise, you can just jump up there with 1 cloud, which is nice. Now there's I believe I'm a little bit behind. I'm going to talk about the cave skip really quick. Now there's a very, very specific part you have to be pixel to set up to get it, and you actually have to take a step forward before jumping onto the cloud. Otherwise, you don't actually get the...
Yeah, that cave jump looked gross, and you only get 1 try. You have to go all the way back and get another bottle. this weird vertical clip in the ceiling off of your cloud. You have to make your own terrain.
You said, I think I remember you mentioning at some point that, you can still die from spikes even after collecting, the end level potion. Is there something like that? I remember there was an issue with one of the levels, like, climbing up through the spikes.
So in one of the early fortress levels, the first run, where you grab the bomb and you equip with it while you have the bomb at any level, you go up through spikes, and it's possible to grab the potion while you're on the spikes, and the second you grab the potion, the hitbox with the spikes lingers, but the bomb actually you'll lose the bomb, so it'll take a hit and actually bounce up even while doing your victory animation.
Does that deal damage? Can you die while that happens?
Yes, you can die while that happens. I have died from that before in runs.
I don't think we've ever gone into too much detail about that last boss you beat, the one that instantly dies. What's going on there?
So it's a mashing boss. If you mash left and right in A and B, you got to kind of outmash him. Now, for some reason, none of the guys understand how it works, but if you just mash left and right, A, B, really fast, he just immediately dies.
I don't think I've seen anyone take more than a second on him.
Yeah, that was one of the early things I remember seeing when the task was being worked on, was just an input list of what the best option for that fight was, and it was just funny to see what buttons you actually had to press to beat it. It was like alternating between right and A or something like that.
Yeah, I believe it was you want to press like right A, B. I know you only use one left input. For some reason, that speeds it up quite a bit.
Yeah, you start with a left, and then it's just alternating back and forth between right and A, if I recall correctly.
It's pretty fast watching him just get smushed, though.
Now, those are some good trees. Nice. Foreground trees, too. Got them all.
Back on the saucers level. I'm going to refresh really quick.
We are in the forest running with a bomb.
The mountain level now. Originally, the mountain level didn't have a bomb in it, and the guy who was doing the task, he pointed out that it's actually 2 seconds faster on this level to go back and grab the bomb and then run it out with it. I have no idea why that snowman turns into a little dude at the end when you hit him with it as well.
I imagine that you're happier to use the bomb than not anyway, if you can. Try and work away, and anytime there's a bomb in the really long level in World 1, like 1/6, and that seemed absolutely worthless. I tried to use that one on my own attemptedness, and that's the only one I discovered that wasn't being used. The rest of them all seem really good. I hate the snow. I'm glad that this effect is one level and that's it.
This visual effect is terrible.
Believe it or not, you run enough, you don't see it anymore. I only see it when people point it out. This level's just so fast, though.
It's got a bomb in it.
I originally used to punch and then jump the snowballs, but the task actually threw the bomb and jumped. And I figure since he does it, it must be faster. I didn't feel like timing it out, honestly.
This level...
you don't slow down while you punch, right?
So you have to kind of stop for a second to line it up and then do the jump over. But you stop for a second to throw the bomb as well, so it can't be that much of a time.
Gotcha.
This is the level that's called the weight. The big weight.
Yeah.
And
I really was hoping that...
Go ahead.
I was really hoping that we could find a way with the bomb clouds to cut a chunk of this level off.
Yeah.
The task does do a cheeky little trick right before the little monster where he clips up through the ground. It's worth a watch. If you haven't seen it yet, watch the task. It's really good. And I tried it a couple times, but I've never been able to get it during a run. I've got it in practice. It's very, very tight timing. I actually don't recall if I tried it in this run or not.
Yeah, but that weight right there is lousy. He's sitting there for almost a minute.
It seems like the only realistic way you could save any considerable time is being able to go over that wall that's sort of separating the two halves of the stage, and I don't know if that's possible in this game.
Yeah, it doesn't. We haven't really found a way to clip down or horizontally yet. Only up to ceilings. I think this might be a huge time save here. The SeaWorld level is what I call it. I usually miss that jump because it's a very tight jump, and I got it first try this time. And it looks like I saved about 30 seconds on it.
Yeah, the first jump with the otters.
Yeah.
Yeah, I remember you were having some issues with that in the last run we watched. I think it took you 3 or 4 tries to get past that spot.
Yeah, it's definitely one of the ones I remember being trouble.
And the little bird holding the little green box, it's a little bit tiny bit faster to jump off it down to the bottom as opposed to riding it all the way over. This shaves like a couple fractions of a second jumping off early.
Yeah, it looks like it's not as fast. Birds fly slower than humans walk is what it looks like. This boss seemed like the task is really going to gain some time on a human almost always, unfortunately. It just seemed like they really got a lot done.
Like health-wise, being able to save health and not eating damage, you would definitely save time later. But you mean you get I believe you get him at almost the first frame of his vulnerability, standing on the spots and holding down the auto hit. So I mean, there's not too much more time the task to really save off of somebody doing it RTA.
Yeah, it's the health that was why I say that, because they came in here with more than this, I think. I remember seeing that.
I think the way I have it routed out, I actually don't take any more purposeful hits through the rest of the run, so I'm not too worried about taking damage there.
Oh, nice. Rome is that easy?
Yeah, Rome's pretty straightforward, and it gives you a lot of chickens.
Finally. Where are they? Why isn't this
This
World
is the point
1?
in the game where it finally decides to start giving you help.
Why? Yeah, seriously, where are the chickens in the first world? Should be every 10 feet. This is Rome.
You said when you start punching, there's like a pause in between individual punches. Can a task, perhaps rather than trying to auto punch, can you press and get an earlier punch? Is there any way to do something like that, maybe?
Probably. With the lingering hitbox, you could probably punch a little bit early and kind of walk right into him right before the hitbox goes away. Oh, the hurtbox. Hitbox. At the end of the sewer level, I actually do use something I saw on the task. I don't recall if I got it off here, but you can save a little bit of time waiting for the final fish by jumping early and jumping off of the lip. And you can go over the fish and get the potion a little bit early and not take the hit.
Well, we're nearly there. These levels are so wildly different. It's got that going for it for sure. You only see a lot of these assets one time. These guys throwing food, I don't think they show up anywhere else. Or that fruit salad in the back. So what's going on here? I think I understand.
Oh, I forgot a cloud potion on the pillar level, so I had to go back down and get it. So that's another couple seconds you can save, because you got to throw it to, jump down, grab one, and then jump back up to do the clip.
Yeah, you need 3, right? So you put 2 up, and then you jump up just to respawn the bottle, and then you come back down and grab the 3rd one while the 2 clouds are still there. That's what it looked like.
Yeah, and that clip was actually slow. If you get farther off to the right of the cloud, you don't have to wait for the cloud to start to disappear. Because how the clip works is you start to clip when you get the falling animation off of the cloud after going to the ceiling a little bit. So if you get yourself positioned just right on the edge of a cloud, it'll kind of trigger that animation, and you can jump right up to the ceiling. But if you aren't far enough over to get that animation, then you have to wait for the cloud to go away before you can flip into the ceiling. Oh, I also missed the clip here, which is not the clip, but the skip. You can use the cloud bomb trick to get up onto that ledge early to get the button. but I missed it.
Yeah, I think that's one of
Which
the
the
ones.
only cost was just having to walk around the corner, right?
Yes.
This boss didn't seem like much of a threat, so pretty much. Does Caesar have your score on the big carpet there?
He does. And I actually learned a way to do this boss a little bit faster from the task is to jump over and hit that lion on the tiger on the right 3 times at the start of the fight. That makes it so you don't have to wait for him to do a run twice before you can get the last hits on him. And it saves almost 25 seconds.
Wow.
Wow.
That's big. Well, that's it. Nice. That's a good run.
That was really good.
Yeah.
Thanks, I've been working really hard on getting a good time for this.
Well, do you you're probably going to still keep pushing for sub 29 before this next 6 days are up?
I am. I plan on definitely getting it. I mean, I'm on track for it. I just gotta get a good run going.
Well, if anyone else wants to keep getting in on this, the information's all there.
Yeah.
The task is published and public. You can check out Moonberry's run, and there's a lot of information on the Speed Bump Discord. That's how most people have been communicating ideas and strategies. So this is more collaborative than you might think.
Yeah, it's Mitch and you really are the big ones for this, right?
Did I repeat that?
Mitch and you are the 2 main runners. Was there anyone else really competing for the top there?
No one else is really putting in any runs. I mean, it's definitely possible to get on the board for sure. And I really recommend giving this a run. The first world it really is off-putting, but once you kind of get that down, it's a very solid and very fun run. And I recommend anyone that just wants to give something to try to at least give it a try, give it a run. If you got to use a password to start on stage 2 to see that it's actually worth playing.
Yeah, there's a lot of passwords at least.
I mean, this is probably one of the cooler platformers we've done. We've done some weird games, and there's been a lot of them have had some pretty cool ideas and strats in them. This is probably one of the ones that has some of the cooler tricks. 6 days is more time than you realize. There's ample time for learning this run and trying to put up a run on the board. So if it interests you, get in on it.
Yep, this is the end. 6 days is all that's left, so last call. And I am going to be looking for racers for a little bit more ahead of time so we can get those organized better.
Yep. Next week we'll have a new game for you, right?
That's right. I got a new one for you. It's only going to be a 2-week. It's kind of every month is not 4 weeks. We need one every once in a while that gets us back on track, and that's this one, and it's my pick. So looking forward to doing that too. So next week, folks, definitely tune in for that. It will be a fun one. And I'll tell you, I will spoil this. There is no world record of this that I know of. So it's an open board. And
Nice.
it's going to be good stuff. And it's going to be a genre we haven't seen yet. I'll tell you that too. All right. Well, thanks for joining us, Moonberry.
Wow.
Thanks for having me.
It was a lot of fun.
Yep. We'll see you next week, folks.